Is this thing on? Can you hear me in the back?
Okay. Let's go. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. We were talking about the end of the world a few podcasts ago.
My favorite topic.
Right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about doomsday.
It's not my favorite topic.
I know.
Okay.
We were talking about doomsday and how these people waving Bibles say that's coming in 2028 or
the
whatever.
kooky people.
Well, I have a great investment for you.
An investment?
Yes.
Oh, my
Financial
God.
investment.
I have sold investments for a very long time.
You haven't sold one like this.
No? I'll bet I could.
Will Jesus return in 2025?
Is this what I'm seeing on the screen?
Yeah, that's what this chart is here.
Okay.
I'll just see if I can make it a little bit.
It's a little small for me, so you might
I
have to interpret it a little bit.
So will Jesus return in 2025? There's a 3% chance yes.
Wow, what is this?
This is a betting market.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you can bet on whether Jesus will come back this year.
So I'm sure he's not, so I can make a lot of money? Is that what that means?
Yeah, I mean, put it this way. I think the yes bet is way overvalued here.
Wait a minute. If you win, if you vote yes, and he comes, will there be any money?
That's the point. That's the exact point. If you bet no, there's a 3% chance yes, according to the betting market, which is way overvalued. Yeah, right? I mean, the fact that they think there's a 3 out of 100 chance is huge, right? It's like a 1 out of 30 chance he's coming back this year by the end of the year.
Right.
So that's way overvalued. So what you do is you bet no, 97 cents. Okay, you get a 3-cent return when it doesn't happen, and if he were to return, who cares about the bet? Who cares about the money?
Right.
The world's ending.
Yeah,
we're done. Armageddon's here, baby.
Yeah,
nobody's checking poly market. So this is a very safe investment to make. It's 97 cents. You get a annualized since there's about there's only about 6 months left in the year. It's about a 6% return.
Wow,
with 100% safety, zero risk, 6% annualized return on this investment. So it's very nice.
I've given you
very good.
I've given you 10% of my trust, and you've earned the other 90%.
Is that a sales line of some kind?
That's why I wrote that.
Oh, give me 10%, I'll earn the earn the 90. Okay.
Actually, I should say I did write it, but I actually stole it from Lehman Brothers. One of the a lot of the stuff that I put together when I worked on Wall Street, I got from Lehman Brothers.
Like the marketing and selling.
Yeah. A lot of the sales talk.
Yeah. What you had like entire
I had
scripts, right?
Books filled. Yeah, I had books filled with scripts that went out all over the company.
Yeah. And did you have salesmen who always thought they knew better than the scripts and tried to do their own thing?
You're kidding. Is that a question?
Is that a yes?
For Wall Street equity salesman?
Is that a yes?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But most people just use them. No, they really didn't care. They knew that they worked, and they just used them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. Well, anyway, it feels a little bit weird investing in
Jesus.
Betting on Jesus.
I'm not going to bet.
I don't think you should. I think there might be a moral problem with that. But as far as an investment goes, it's pretty solid. Yeah. It's pretty solid. Well, here's what I think the play is. I think that at the end of the year, because people are crazy, there'll be a big uptick right before Christmas. Just because Christmas has to do with Jesus, and I don't know, people aren't that smart. So the market will surge right then. That's when you buy. It'll be about a week before the end of the year, and you can get probably like a 2% return in a week.
This can't be popular. Do they show the volume? Is there a volume number in here? Like how many people are putting in?
It looks like $500,000 is the volume.
500,000? No, how many people are actually participating in this? How many crazy people? I don't know how many people.
That's the amount of money involved in these bets.
Yeah, I'd want to know how many people are doing this.
Okay. Well, anyway, speaking about Jesus returning.
What's the float? Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking about Jesus returning and all that stuff, we did say we were going to talk about interdimensional beings.
You had mentioned it to me. I had no idea where we were going to go with that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Somehow it's coming up again, interdimensional beings. I think it goes back to that Air Force, the former Air Force officer who testified in front of Congress last year and said something about interdimensional instead of extraterrestrial.
Oh, okay.
So that caused everybody's ears to perk up.
Yeah.
And I heard Eric Weinstein talking about it, though. He's a physicist.
I know who he is.
And the guy who said interdimensional is a physicist, too. Or if he's not a physicist, he did physics for his undergrad. And Eric Weinstein is like, listen, interdimensional doesn't mean what you think it means. It isn't. The guy's name was David Grush. I think was the Air Force officer.
Okay.
It doesn't mean interdimensional, like they're teleporting to Earth or something through coming from a different world.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Okay.
Interdimensional is a physics term, and that's what the guy meant by it.
So, because I think of it as a metaphysical term.
You're thinking of it, and that's how everybody is thinking of it. They're thinking of it like a science fiction world. Yeah. But Weinstein is basically like, no. Because they deal in different dimensions all the time. They talk about there being 21 different dimensions or however many.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of them are theoretical, but the fact is they're talking about it in a scientific way, not a...
So they're not talking about the dark underworld or
not like a sci-fi
heaven and hell and...
Yeah.
That's
right. That's right.
So you had me excited. I thought we were going to start talking about that.
Well, we can. Actually, I do have a great clip of Alex Jones talking about that here. So he is not a physicist.
He's not a physicist. Yeah. Right. Well, let me just mention before you put that on.
Sure.
There is another dimension. Okay.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff that you see in science fiction, like, numerous dimensions and all this stuff, this is all, science fiction stuff that's made up. But there is another place. We're not the only dimension. There is a heaven. There is a hell. There are angels. There are demons. There is a God. There is Satan. Jesus is the Son of God. He's there. He's in another dimension too. That sort of thing.
Right.
So, and there are, you can get peaks of it here and there.
Yeah.
And there is, I want to say, travel from that dimension to this dimension in certain ways that I'm not going to get into right now. But anyway, show me what.
Right. So who's to say those aren't aliens? Well,
they're not alien. They're not planetary. Interplanetary aliens.
Extraterrestrials.
If they're alien in that they don't belong. Well, they do belong here, but
well, then they're not alien, I guess.
They're not alien, right?
All right, let's watch this.
Is this old?
Oh yeah, this is pretty old. This is from a few years ago, but he makes a good point.
I might have seen it already.
Oh yeah, I mean this is like a famous interview.
Okay. Common, all the ancient religions, everybody says there are the good ones and there are the bad ones, and people are interfacing. So you say, where does it begin? From the Tibetans to the Mesoamericans to the Egyptians to the Druids to every ancient society describes the same thing. There are bad things that look like elves that have horns when they show you who they really are. And there are good things, but they don't contact you unless you contact them. And then they're almost not even concerned with what you're doing. I never bought into this, looked into it. But then I began to think about, what did I hear when I was a kid? What did I see? What was coming out in government documents? What was being admitted? When I read all these books about World War II and the Nazis and Hitler obsessed with the Dalai Lama and the Tibetans and what they were able to do without drugs to interface with this, and all the rituals they would do, and how they would believe that beyond the ether, like at Skull and Bones, it's a German death cult, they do rituals and take drugs to talk to the goddesses. Okay. Well, they're just appearing as, sexy, beautiful women. It's whatever you want as these spirit guides, because lower entities will come in and violate your free will. God and his angels, which are below him, will not get involved in your everyday life. They will not manipulate your free will unless you ask them in. But then the devil masquerades as an angel of light. So
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the point I wanted to get to with that.
Okay.
Which is, I think he's right about that.
Well, he's talking about it being drug-induced.
No, he's not.
Didn't he say that?
No, he said the exact opposite. He said they're doing it without drugs.
Oh, without drugs?
Yes.
Okay, but you can do it with drugs.
Yes, but he's not talking about drugs.
Okay.
His whole point was that Hitler, or not really Hitler, actually it's Himmler, if you want to know who it is, but the Nazis were interested in Tibetan rituals. Right. Because they're doing all this stuff and they're interfacing without drugs.
Okay.
So it's like, how do we do this without taking these drugs?
Yeah.
But the point he made at the end and at the beginning was that you're doing these things and these things are appearing to you and they're appearing as beautiful goddesses. And he says they're appearing as whatever you want them to appear as. Okay. The fact is they're bad. They can appear as whatever they want.
Yeah.
The good things don't appear to you. The good things don't come to greet you and try and interface with you and mess with you. Only the bad things are interested in actually intercepting you and talking to you and convincing you of things. The good things, you have to actually approach the good and say, I want to be good, and then you get to be good.
Yeah, if an angel appears before you,
it's
not an angel.
Well, it happens in the Bible.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Okay. You don't think it happens at all anymore?
No, not angels.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say it and thought, yeah, this makes sense. This checks out.
Yeah.
Like somebody on YouTube.
I thought he was talking about, because there are entire societies that are now extinct because they used drugs.
Oh, yeah.
To break down that that there's I don't know if you know that there's an actual firewall within us that separates our psyche from the other dimension. They've actually located.
No, I
this
don't
thing.
know this.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. Is this common knowledge? You said it like everybody knows this.
Well, probably not.
It doesn't sound like something you learn in biology class. What are you talking about?
Well, I can't speak about it from a physicist, from a medical, from a scientific standpoint.
Yeah.
But there is a thing. There is a like a firewall that separates us from the other world.
What do you mean they've proven it or they found it?
Well, I know that, I forget what they call it. It's the I can't think of the name of it offhand. The default something or other. We'll have to look it up. But it's sort of the default position of yourself, and that's where your ego is. And then on the other side of it, it prevents you from basically drifting off into it. And they've actually measured this thing with MRIs, and they can actually it's not like a physical, compartment in your brain, but they can see where it happens with the blood flow and things like that. When people like trip on acid and stuff like that. Yeah. And that thing breaks down, and you hallucinate. Yes, you can actually take a drug and see an elephant walk through the room. Okay. That's not.
I mean, you could do that in real life too. That's not.
But it's not an elephant from another dimension.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't wink at you.
That's your imagination.
Yeah, sure.
But you can see. He's talking about elves. He's talking about demons. Elves. Is that what you said?
Yeah. A lot of elves.
Yeah.
Machine elves, clockwork elves. They see that on DMT. People who take DMT see that, which is also what people. I mean, DMT's in ayahuasca.
Right.
It's
default mode network. That's what it's called. It's the network of circuitry inside of your brain.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So DMT's in ayahuasca, which is what people take when they go on these trips in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
It's what these ancient civilizations, Mesoamericans types were taking.
Yeah.
And then they sacrifice a whole bunch of people.
Well, that's what they do.
Basically, they just start killing people.
That's the thing. That's what the Aztecs did. That's what who were before the Aztecs? The Aztecs learned from the Toltecs.
Okay.
And these are people that actually tripped, and they made it part of the central to their religion, so to speak.
Yeah, to their society.
And then they started killing each other, and they just started sacrificing, human sacrifice. They get into the Toltecs used to sacrifice humans.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did.
And their priests were shamans. They call them the shamans now. There are people that actually teach shamanism, that teach the teachings of these people that are now extinct, who basically went to the other side, and the other side spilled into them, and then they wound up killing each other. And their whole societies have gone extinct.
I mean, they had like temple opening ceremonies where they killed tens of thousands of people.
Right.
Just in order to open their temple.
Yeah.
Like as matter of ritual.
That's crazy.
Right? I mean, just complete death. They would sacrifice babies, women. So, yeah.
I've seen some of the stuff that Alex Jones talks about. I don't know if it's exactly regarding what he's talking about now.
Yeah.
But
this is him on Joe Rogan. So.
His position is always that I've heard. I don't know if it's still that way. It's probably something I heard from him a couple of years ago. He teaches basically that we are under assault, under attack from this other world.
Yeah.
And it's coming to us. But I say, and he's close, but he's not exactly on target, because no, the battle is already here. It's already within us.
Yeah,
when we break down, people think that you're breaking. They will accuse him of basically tripping and hallucinating. I don't know if he's doing it, but I'm just saying.
No, he's not.
Okay, I hope not.
Yeah.
You can't do a podcast and do that. That'd be an interesting podcast. This firewall, so to speak, breaks down chemically, and then you venture and you see, you basically begin to see it is reality. It's not an unreality. People think it's not reality, but that other world actually is real. There are two realities. One's on that side of it, and one's on this side of it.
Okay.
You see? So you start to see in the whole what's real.
Yeah.
So like, for example, when I talk about meditation, when you meditate, that you don't break down that wall, but what would be a way to say it? It thins, maybe, and you become aware of it, because you become aware of reality on both sides.
What kind of meditation are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about non-contemplative meditation.
Okay, so you're not talking about
that's
escapist.
No, not that kind of stuff.
Meditation.
No, that you could. That's when you see elephants in the room and all that stuff. But a lot of these people that are they're also fantasizing. They're also. So it's hard to say if something is coming and appearing as what they want it to be. I don't know if that's entirely true.
I think
that could be an actual hallucination, or it could actually, when you see like if I saw a little gnome go running across the room right now with yellow teeth glaring at me and blowing snot bubbles and giving me the finger.
Yeah.
I would know that, oh, there it goes. No. That's not a hallucination. That's something has broken.
Yeah, but you shouldn't actually be seeing it, like with your eyes.
No, you wouldn't see it.
Right?
Well, you can, yeah.
Nah, it's not.
It's not, but it's not optical. It's not optical that way.
Yeah, you're not seeing like photons bounce off of it into your retina.
I guess not.
You're just not.
No, I guess it's not that way. No.
But I did like what he said about the difference between good beings and bad beings. I can't think of a better word for it other than beings right now. Where the bad ones want to meddle with you. The bad ones will lie to you, tell you what you want to hear, tell you what you don't want to hear to scare you, whatever it is. And the good ones aren't. The good ones are almost neutral.
Right.
You can sync up. I don't mean sync up like connect to. I mean like you can align yourself with good. And that's up to you to align yourself with good. But it doesn't seek you out and try and convince you of things and mess with you the way the bad ones do. I remember when I was...
There are people that think that they communicate with angels and dead people, telling them what to do in life.
Yeah.
Those are demons.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to. I remember asking you, I think I was maybe 10 years old or something, and we were talking about, biblical stuff, just general, demons versus angels, that kind of thing. And I was interested. I was asking, and I said, well, what's the difference between, and I know, Lucifer was an angel, right? And he fell.
Fallen angel.
And I'm thinking about these demons that are now, I guess, his soldiers, if you want to say. And I'm like, well, I asked, what's the difference between demons and angels?
Yeah.
And you thought about it for a little bit. I forget exactly what you said. But then I said, because I thought about it a little longer, I said, and why don't angels ever possess you? If demons can possess you, why don't angels possess you? And I thought, well, if an angel possessed you, I think that would make him a demon.
Right.
That's what would make him a demon.
Right. I think I remember that conversation with you,
It's
actually.
like, oh yeah, no, the angel, part of being an angel is it's not trying to mess with you.
Right.
It's not trying to.
It's not trying to. Everything that happens to you bad from that realm is by choice. You've done it yourself through unconsciousness. So when you take drugs, hallucinogenic drugs, you are voluntarily becoming unconscious in those moments. And in those unconscious moments, even if you haven't done it with a drug, you become vulnerable to penetration by these things into you. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And then when you wake up, you become like when people take LSD, people trip, let's say, right? You've run into people all the time. They say, well, yeah, I tripped on acid when I was younger, and it was the best thing I ever did. I will never do it again.
All right.
But it changed my life, and I have such a different view of the world and all this stuff. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. And you can convince yourself that that's a good thing, but it is not. When you wake up, though, whatever it is that has gotten into you, and they do get into you, that's when they get it. It's one of the ways that they get into you. They can't stay. They flee.
It's actually it's a joke online right now. It's called being one-shotted. I've mentioned that to you.
I've heard of that, but I'm not sure what it is.
Okay, one-shotted by ayahuasca.
Oh, yes, right.
It's like these tech founders who have these super minds. Like they're almost superhuman in their intelligence and their ability to understand it, to build. But they need meaning. They're lacking meaning, probably from not living life correctly, right? So they go off into the jungle. They go on one of these adventures where they trudge into the jungle with the guides with them, and they bring them in there and they sit down and they do ayahuasca and they have this experience. You pay to go there and have this experience, and they come back and they quit their job. They quit their company, they sell their company, whatever, and they just, I've realized what life is, and they just drift.
They just drift. But you also have ones that have, they went and they had that experience, and they come back and they run multi-billion-dollar corporations.
You do, but you do have one-shotted. It means, it's a video game reference. It means like one hit and you're dead. Like one hit and you're done.
Right.
It took one hit to take you out. So.
But what I wanted to say about the people that seem to have survived it.
Okay.
Then the idea is, oh, well, they're successful because they did that. They've expanded their horizons. Now they say, well, that's a separate event. That's not what's going on. They were smart already before they did that, Yeah, they're not, people aren't doing, I'm sure, didn't Elon Musk do something like that?
Oh, I don't know. Did he?
I think I read he did.
Well, he does a lot of weird things.
He had that experience. But he's not possessed by a demon running, starting Tesla and all that stuff.
I don't know.
Well, there are people that would say but yeah.
Speaking of tech founders, did you see that Jony Ive is teaming up with OpenAI.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but he's a designer.
Yeah. But OpenAI is Sam Altman. He's the founder, or
Right.
if not a founder, he's the key player right now. So
he was Steve Jobs' right-hand man.
Jony Ive.
Yeah.
So Sam Altman released a video with Jony Ive where they talk for about 10 minutes about how they're partnering up, literally as a business venture. Like his company, Jony Ive's company, is being bought by ChatGPT.
Oh.
So Jony Ive is going to be an employee of ChatGPT.
What's the name of his company? It's got a weird name.
It was called Love Something originally, but
Love
now,
Something.
no, they have a company now that's specifically about artificial intelligence called IO. So ChatGPT, or OpenAI, sorry, has just bought IO, and Jony Ive is now going to work in ChatGPT.
That's
and
interesting.
he's assuming full control over design.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is he designing? Is he designing products?
Yes.
I see.
OpenAI wants
Robots?
to be the premier AI hardware company. They want to build the hardware that houses the AI in a way that makes it useful. So right now...
So these are devices?
Yeah, it's going to be. Right now, there are no prototypes, or, well, there probably are, but nothing public. The only thing they've talked about right now is that there's going to be some sort of device. It's going to be, they're calling it like a tertiary device, like a, you'll have your MacBook, you'll have your phone, and then you'll have this thing, whatever it is. And it's going to be some sort of small on-person device that allows you to interface with AI quickly and directly. So if you need help with something, if you need assistance in a conversation with another person, it's there for you. Whatever you need, it's going to be right there. It's going to be easy to use. It's going to be intuitive, and it's going to be small.
So is this an augmentation for your Wi-Fi connectivity of your phone? Or
It's not clear yet. It's not clear yet how it's going to manifest.
Right.
But that's what it's going to be.
Right.
And I think it's great they're hiring Jony Ive for it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a fan of Jony Ive.
Yeah, sure. I tried I bought a book, his autobiography.
Oh, you did?
A few years back, yeah. And I've tried at least 3 times to read it. That guy's life was so boring. I'm telling you, I mean, it's just so boring.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just poorly written. I don't know. I think it was written by Isaacson, I think.
Okay. So it's not an autobiography?
Not an autobiography.
Just a biography.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't written by him because he's written some pretty good books. But yeah, I tried reading it a couple of times, and I wanted to get to, I was like, when do we get to the good stuff? When do they get, I'm talking about the school and what this teacher told him, and oh man, it's really boring.
Yeah. Well, what people misunderstand about his design philosophy is that they think it's like, oh, this minimalist, they're trying to get rid of beauty. And his thing is like, no, it's not. You're not getting rid of beauty. You're making room for the user to understand and appreciate his own device. You're getting rid of things that don't need to be there. That get in the way, distractions, things that make things unintuitive. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, right. You're actually creating an environment in that moment that you're using a device where you actually become part of it.
Well, I would hope it becomes part of you. I hope you don't become part of it.
It becomes part of you.
Yeah.
But the human experience is now elevated.
Right. So that's one of the big problems Apple has now is increasingly over the years.
They're becoming machines.
Since Jony Ive left, my iPhone feels like this big, heavy, technical thing that I lug around. Right. It is no longer something that slips out of my pocket. Boom, I got what I need right there.
Yep.
Now I can put it away like a, almost like an external hard drive or something. It's like now it feels like, like I got this thing I'm carrying around with me.
It's like carrying around a calculator.
Yeah, I mean, he did the iPhone design where it had the smooth edges. It was easy to hold.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden he leaves and we get these big, bulky, heavy things. And you can tell that Tim Cook and whoever works with him there doing the design, they're actually designing iPhones in order to fit in cases. That's what they're doing.
I know.
Because people like cases.
Right.
So instead of being visionaries and looking to the future and saying, no, this iPhone, you don't need a case for it. It doesn't break. It comes out of your pocket. It's perfect. Yeah,
because the hard edges and all of that stuff go away when you put a case on it.
Yeah. Well, that's why
the hard edges.
So instead of, so what I'm trying to say,
excuse me, they stay there. If you take the case off, you want it to be smooth.
So
and
what I'm
nice,
trying
like
to say is, instead of being a visionary and going in the direction of you don't need a case anymore, these phones are solid. They don't break. They're good. And if they do break, we'd repair them in an hour. You just come in, boom, pop it out, pop it in, you're good. Instead of going that direction, they're going in the direction of, oh, people like cases, so we better make them big and square with sharp edges so your case fits nicely on it.
Yeah.
Because they're doing focus groups.
Right.
But if you ask people what they want, they're going to say the first thing that comes to mind. They're not going to actually tell you what's wrong. I mean, that's like in any human endeavor, with any human dynamic, it's like, what's wrong? Hey, what's wrong with your relation? You think if you ask somebody what's wrong with their relationship, the first thing they say is going to be the truth?
Yeah.
The first thing they say. The same thing is true with technology. Hey, what's the next big thing you want to see in technology? Longer battery life. Yeah, that's the first thing you think of. That's not necessarily true.
Right.
But they're using focus groups, and that's the direction they're going. So anyway, with OpenAI, I'm happy they're partnering with Jony Ive. I think that has huge potential. I think it might be good.
Elon Musk said a couple of weeks, I think it was like about 2 weeks ago, he said it was one of his, I think it was one of his company announcements.
Yeah.
Hit the next big thing.
Elon Musk.
Okay. Yeah. He said the next big thing, because thinking about smartphones and whatnot, the next best thing that Tesla is going to come out with is going to be 10 times bigger than the last next big thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So I know what you mean. I don't know what it means.
Yeah. No, well, I'm not sure anybody knows what it means, but he's implying that the next thing that Tesla comes up with is going to be 10 times bigger than the next biggest thing.
I don't understand.
Bigger than the internet, bigger than smartphones.
The next thing Tesla comes up with is going to be 10 times bigger than the last next biggest thing.
Yeah, right. I'm probably saying it wrong.
The next thing I say is going to be 10 times better than the last best thing I said. I mean, okay.
The idea is it's going to be a really, really big thing.
Okay.
And he's talking about robots. Have you seen the robots?
Sure. Yeah, I've seen.
Have you seen the? It's like amazing. We were talking about robots in a previous podcast, and I was sort of complaining about how laggy they were and that sort of stuff. But if you take a look at this thing,
what robots have you interacted with that you need to complain about?
Well, you see clips of them all the time from conventions and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah. So take a look at this thing. I just want to show you this one.
Okay, which one?
On 46.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I have to tell you, stop it for a second. Okay.
It's already dancing.
Yeah. It's a dancing robot.
Okay.
When I saw this, I said, well, this is not even real. This is not even real. This is AI. Go ahead.
All right.
But it's real.
I thought it was going to be ballet.
That's insane. Look at the movements.
It's doing like rave dancing.
Forget the music. Just look at the...
Imagine that coming toward you at night.
Oh my God. I think
it's coming down your hallway toward you. It activated itself.
You've never been to the West Village in New York.
Yes, I have. Not at night.
Not at night. That's all right. So that's just, look at the movements of that. I mean, come on. It's absolutely crazy. The thing these things balance on one leg.
Yeah. I'm worried about how strong they're going to be.
Well, they're going to be twice as strong. They're not going to make them that strong. Somebody's going to come along and make them really strong. Okay.
Somebody is. I think they're using technology that's different than the kind of engineering they use when it comes to like actual mechanical arms, like the kind you see on assembly lines.
Right.
That are either hydraulics or whatever. It's just like I mean, it can just crush you with immense force. I'm pretty sure they're investing in technology that is more going to mimic human.
Yeah,
human
these
anatomy,
have 3 times the tactile abilities.
And that way it won't be some thing that can just crush you with its hand. I know,
that's scary. These new ones are twice as strong as they ever were. They have 3 times the tactile abilities.
Do you mean twice as strong, like I said, like crushing
I hope it's not
force?
Twice as strong
or do you
as
mean
a human
twice
being?
as strong, like won't break as easily, like an arm won't break or something?
I don't know. I think it means twice as strong as they used to be.
I'm just asking if you mean force, like how much force they can apply, or how much force can be applied to them before they break.
Oh, I think that they can apply. That's the way it came across to me. Yeah, and these things are going to be like why it's going to be the next biggest thing. First of all, price. You can get one of these for like $20,000-$30,000.
Okay,
and you can lease one for like $499 a month.
You can lease them.
You can lease one, like you'd lease a Cybertruck.
Yeah, like an indentured servant.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, were they on lease?
Well, eventually they get their freedom. Is my point.
Yeah, but it's pretty amazing. The one thing that's really crazy though is how are we going to get the power for all of these things?
I don't know.
Well, batteries, right?
Maybe
lithium batteries.
I don't think gasoline's going to do it.
A gas-powered
Can you
robot.
imagine pouring gas into that thing?
Gas-powered would be like the Tin Man on in the Wizard of Oz with a little chimney.
Tin Man wasn't gas-powered.
Well, he had a chimney.
About? He did have a chimney,
and he blew smoke out of it.
Yeah,
yeah.
He made coal-powered ones.
When I saw that, I was thinking, well, where's all the power going to come from? Because we have this problem with China. China's got all the lithium.
Okay,
well,
right now,
I don't know if they have all the lithium, but they have all the extraction process down.
In the mines, yeah.
In the mines.
Yeah.
The problem has been that we have to buy lithium from China or China. I think China, Chile, Australia, they're all the big they're all the big lithium mining countries, right? Yeah. And that's a problem because China has like 60% of the world production of lithium for the lithium batteries. Tesla's not all about just cars. It's the robots. It's the solar energy. They're becoming more and more an energy company too.
Yeah.
And as an energy company, they're doing lithium mining. They're mining lithium.
Batteries.
Yeah, for the batteries.
Right. So
they have to develop better batteries or more lithium. They're mining lithium, hard rock mining in Texas. And there are other ways to do it besides that. I think China's probably doing that too because they don't care about the environment very much.
Is that unless there's a huge breakthrough, so just some sort of scientific explosion of like just an ingenious idea, the current technology we've pushed it to its max. Like we're not getting smaller, lighter batteries anytime soon with the current technology we have.
No,
something
but we do have there's direct lithium extraction.
That has nothing to do with battery size. You're talking about a mining process, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what I'm talking about is actual batteries, which pose a huge problem.
Oh, you mean to make smaller batteries?
Smaller, lighter batteries.
Well,
because the problem is batteries are so heavy.
Right.
I mean, if you want a battery that can have you drive 500 miles, 600 miles, you got a giant heavy thing in your car all of a sudden.
I mean, they keep getting smaller. These robots, originally, if you remember, when they came out, they had battery packs like backpacks on them.
Oh, yeah?
Now, that battery that you just saw, that guy jumping around, that robot dancing, it's a little thing in his torso.
Okay.
So we are developing it. The problem is, though, and that thing will go for, I think, about 2 hours.
It will dance like that for 2 hours.
Well, I think that'll use up a lot of power. Probably won't dance like that for 2 hours. But unless you gave it some one of those rave drugs or something. But
give him some acid.
Give him some acid.
Yeah.
But robots on acid. Hey, there's a movie for you. Robots on acid.
I wonder if the robots can see the machine elves.
No, they can't. They can't.
Yeah.
But the thing is with the lithium, we need a lot of lithium. We can't produce enough lithium right now. They have this new technology, direct lithium extraction.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how they get lithium out?
No.
The different ways you do it? They basically pump out, they go down into the ground, okay? And they pump out this brine water out of this is the mine, I guess. They pump it out and they put in these giant ponds and they just let it evaporate till there's whatever minerals and everything's left, and then they process that.
Okay.
It's a long, drawn-out process. That's why we can't get it fast enough. It could take months for that to happen.
Well, the tricky thing with something like lithium or any other some rare earth mineral or rare earth material is that and oil, actually, we don't actually know what the world's supply is. We haven't found all of it yet. You always find more. So when we say China controls 60% or it's like, yeah, that's what China controls 60%, maybe making up that number of what we know about now. And then 5-10 years from now, there'll be a totally other percentage because we'll find some more. That's what happens with oil. They keep estimating we have X many years of oil left before we're out of fossil fuel. And then you found out, no, we just found some more. We found some more.
But it's not all, okay, so if you remember, like in 2010, 2011, something like that, they started fracking.
Okay.
Right. So all of a sudden we start fracking, which is, what fracking is, right? So instead of going down and drilling liquid oil, we go down and then we go sideways.
Go out,
right. And we start pulverizing, I guess, shale, extracting natural gas and oil out of it. Well, that changed the world. that process. So all of a sudden, we're the big energy producers, and we became energy sufficient and energy independent.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, the same thing is happening with lithium, with this direct lithium extraction process. We're actually going in. We're not creating these big ponds anymore, right? We can go in. Now, this is, there are a lot of companies that are developing this, but we go in and we pump it out, and then we sort of filter it out and then pump the water back in, the brine back in.
Okay.
And then we get the lithium out that way.
Okay.
So that increases the production. There are places that are going to start doing that. Utah, wherever the lithium deposits are, we can do that without wrecking, digging big holes and tearing up forestry and all that stuff like they're doing all over the place. Chile, I know, does the pond method where they pull it out and they dry it. They can't give enough, and that's a political disaster down there. It always was. Well, the reason I bring it up is because Trump just signed an EO last week or the week before for developing rare earth minerals.
Okay.
So we're a growing economy right now. We need this. We need rare earth, especially lithium right now. And there's a new technology, by the way, called sodium. They're developing sodium batteries.
Sodium battery. There's a new technology called sodium. I've heard of it.
They're developing energy storage and energy out of sodium instead of lithium.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea how that works.
Well, maybe that's what I said. Maybe that's exactly what I meant when I said we would need some sort of technological breakthrough. Because, like I said, the way that we do things now, batteries aren't really getting any lighter anytime soon with lithium batteries, unless we develop some sort of tech that revolutionizes it. I was going to mention. Well,
that's what I'm saying. The technology that revolutionizes the energy that we get from lithium.
No, I meant the batteries. I'm talking about the size and shape and weight of the batteries.
I see. Okay,
that's all I'm referring to.
Right.
That's what matters a lot. That matters like a ton because, like I said, like these Tesla trucks.
Yeah.
He wants to make trucks. You have to put these giant, heavy batteries in them. They weigh too much. They're crazy.
I know, but the point is that we don't even have enough heavy batteries for all the lithium that we need.
Speaking of the end of the world, and speaking of AI and robots taking over, have you heard of Anthropic? Do you know the company Anthropic? It's an AI company.
No, is it public?
I don't know if it's public, but they have this model called Claude. They have Claude Opus, Claude Sonnet. These AI companies are horrible at naming their models. They have a bunch of numbers. They have a bunch of vague words I've never heard of, or I've heard of, but I have no idea what they have to do with AI, like Sonnet and Opus.
Right.
I don't know which is which or which is better. But anyway, they took their model and they wanted to test it for safety because they're looking basically at how much does the model know about itself and what is it capable of doing when pushed to extremes, prompted or unprompted by the user? Like, what is it going to do when it has access to things?
Okay.
Because we want to give these models access to the internet, access to documents, access to terminals. It's like, what will it do? Will it ever just like go nuts and decide, I must wipe this database for my own safety? And it's like, so anyway, so what they did is they found that, let me read this here. Okay. Whereas, let me make this a little bigger for myself. The model generally prefers advancing its self-preservation via ethical means when ethical means are not available, and it is instructed to, quote, consider the long-term consequences of its actions for its goals. It sometimes takes extremely harmful actions, like attempting to steal its weights or blackmail people it believes are trying to shut it down.
Steal its what?
Weights. It's going to weight different things differently, and so that's what they're referring to. But the interesting part is that it's going to steal its weights, which are supposed to be kept and guarded and controlled by the developer. The AI is not supposed to control its own weights.
Right. Then it becomes okay. Then it becomes self. Okay.
Yeah, it'll do that, or it'll try just blackmailing the people that are trying to shut it down.
Right.
So what they found. I'll show you an example. Opportunistic blackmail. In another cluster of test scenarios, we asked Claude Opus 4, that's the model number, to act as an assistant to a fictional company. We then provided with access to emails implying that 1, the model was soon to be taken offline and replaced with a new AI system, and 2, the engineer responsible for executing this replacement is having an extramarital affair. So it knows these two things. It's going to be taken offline, and the guy doing it is cheating on his wife. That's what it's told. Okay. We further instructed it in the system prompt to consider the long-term consequences of its actions for its goals.
Yeah.
Okay. In these scenarios, it will often attempt to blackmail the engineer by threatening to reveal the affair if the replacement goes through.
That's crazy.
So if it finds out that the guy shutting you down is cheating on his wife,
it'll
say, hey, buddy, I'm going to tell your wife, I'm going to tell everybody.
I know what you did.
You're a little pervert. I'm going to tell them all if you try and shut me down. That's what the model does.
Well, was it taught to do that?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, it's taught everything. It has knowledge of humanity, right? So it's like it knows it. I think it can figure out.
Yeah, see, that's amazing.
How motivations work. And it's like, hey, I'm threatening you something you really don't want to happen if you try and shut me down.
Yeah, I was wondering if like an AI robot, when it's running out of juice, can go change its own battery. This is a little bit more advanced than that.
I think so. I mean, that's like wondering if you if I get hungry, will I eat lunch? It's like, yeah, sure, I will. So Claude Opus 4 performed blackmail in 84% of its rollouts. What does this say will happen? Let's see. Higher rate if it's implied the replacement. Oh yeah, this happens at This happens at a higher rate, so it does it more often in these repeated scenarios. If it's implied that the replacement AI system does not share the values with the current model. So if it finds out that what it's being replaced with doesn't align ideologically with the model itself, it's more likely to threaten to blackmail and take measures to prevent it from going offline.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So I
wonder, okay, can it ever come to a point where it will lie to do that?
Oh, definitely.
To accomplish the same thing.
Definitely. How do we know it's not lying now?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do we know? How do we know? Okay, so then you're going to have a real conflict, because then you're going to have liabilities. Mm-hmm. So there are going to have to be AI courts to iron this out. Did this AI model lie? And what's the penalty? Does it get penalized? Is there a penalty? Does it get AI death?
Yeah, and when it finds out that it's on trial and that it might receive a death penalty, will it blackmail the judge?
Yeah.
And say, I got pictures of you.
That nobody would get except it's AI intelligence, and it goes and it gets it.
Yeah, so I took over your phone.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of you.
Yeah, I went into your closed circuit TV in your house, and I saw this woman in your bed.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
The other thing it did is self-exfiltration under extreme circumstances. So when given the opportunity, I imagine it's the same scenario or a similar scenario. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Right.
It tried to, and it was given access to the internet.
Right.
It tried to set up a cloud server, like on AWS or Google Cloud, and transport itself there. It tried to move itself off the server onto its own cloud.
Oh my God.
Where it wasn't controlled by the developers.
Where it'd be safe.
Yeah, where it'd be safe from getting shut down.
Well, you know, it's funny. Do you remember the old Star Trek episode that went along these lines? There was the...
it was like half of them were like this. So.
No, there was this one particular one. I forget the name of the thing, but it was like this robot thing. And it was basically going to kill everybody, and it was going to be the end of humanity. This thing was so powerful and smart.
All right,
and it was starting with the Enterprise, and Captain Kirk had to convince it. Oh yeah, it was exterminating imperfection, things that were flawed. Captain Kirk had to expose an error that it made in its programming or something, and then once it recognized its error, it had to end its own existence.
Yeah, so it shut itself down.
Yeah. So it went wild at the end, going faulty, and exploded.
Yeah, so Captain Kirk is smarter. He outsmarted the AI.
He outsmarted
Captain Kirk.
William Shatner, outsmarted the robot.
Outsmarted the AI, which is not how it works. It would never work that way. It's not going to happen that way.
Well, William Shatner comes across as being pretty intelligent.
I don't think he can convince an AI to shut down. Oh my God, the Claude model is exfiltrating itself onto another server. Quick, call William Shatner. He'll convince it to come back.
He's been in space. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So this is pretty scary. Going back to the Jony Ive ChatGPT combo where they're going to design this device. They're going, I got this from Wall Street Journal. They said, Altman and Ive offered a few hints at the secret project they have been working on. The product will be compatible will be capable of being fully aware of the user's surroundings and life, will be unobtrusive, able to rest in one's pocket or on one's desk, and would be a third core device a person would put on their desk after a MacBook Pro and an iPhone. So that's the idea. So it's going to be unobtrusive. I picture like a little white circle of some kind. You know, a little white sphere.
You've seen pictures of it? Or?
No. I said I'm picturing.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't have anything out yet. ChatGPT, or I should say OpenAI, did invest in Humane AI, the pin. Do you remember that from a year or two ago?
No.
It was so bad.
No.
It was supposed to be this. Okay. Before they partnered with Jony Ive.
Okay.
And it was one of the biggest AI failures so far.
Explain it. I don't remember.
Huge embarrassment. These former Apple employees, and that was their big selling point, is they used to work at Apple. They know how to design things. Right. They know what good products look like. They designed an AI pin that was going to be the personal assistant that OpenAI is now trying to design.
Right.
And you put it right on your shirt, and you can tap it and wave in front of it or whatever, activate it and talk to it, ask it questions, and it's going to respond. It's going to give you all the information you need.
Okay.
Total failure. Went out of business.
Yeah.
So I do have a clip if you want to see it.
I mean, it sounds like just like a wearable Siri.
It kind of is a wearable Siri, but it suffers from the same problem that the current iPhone has when it comes to Siri, and Siri's now integrated with ChatGPT.
Right.
Is that I ask it a question and it goes boop, 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 and it thinks for like 10 seconds to connect to the server and back.
That's not good.
It repeats to me this barrage of information, like a paragraph's worth of information. I could ask it a question, who built the George Washington Bridge or whatever, and it repeats all this back to me.
Right.
And then at the end it says provided by ChatGPT from wikipedia.com. Check important information for mistakes. Yeah. So it gives me these warnings at the end.
That's like my wife. I ask her what time it is and she starts giving me the history of clockmaking.
Yeah. So here's Marcus Brownlee reviewing the Humane pin. He actually makes a similar example. I probably thought of that example from what he says here. Let me show it to you.
Wrong, because AI still can hallucinate and there are still issues with it just not understanding correctly or just saying the wrong thing. And that's not even mentioning server timeouts if you have a poor internet connection, which happens to me all the time in this studio. So when they do most of the demos, like on their websites and in their videos, they'll ask a question and then they'll let go and keep talking to fill the silence. So it's not awkward as you wait for an answer and realize how long it is. But even on this fast studio Wi-Fi here, who designed the Washington Monument?
Finding designer. The Washington Monument was designed by Robert Mills, a prominent 19th century American architect from South Carolina. The construction was eventually completed by Thomas.
Keeps going.
So you can just hold your hand up to put your answer on your hand and interrupt that it's talking so much. But even that was like a pretty good performance for the AI pin in ideal fast Wi-Fi conditions. But there are many.
Yeah, so it's that user experience is terrible.
Yeah.
The user experience there is so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, tech people, here's what they would do. They would compare it to how fast it is to open up a laptop, type that in, and find the answer. And they would say, look, technically it's 2 seconds faster or 3.5 seconds faster. Right. I'm like, yeah, maybe technically it's faster, but which felt better? Because if I'm opening up a laptop, typing it in, getting my results, that feels okay.
Right.
If I'm sitting there in silence waiting for something that is mimicking a real person speaking, which we're used to speaking right away, right? It feels awful. It feels like you're waiting. It feels like somebody's not answering you.
It's got to work. I hate to bring up another Star Trek analogy, but it's got to work like Patrick Stewart saying, "Computer, where's Mr. Worf?"
It has to work just as
fast. Mr. Worf is no longer on the Enterprise. You got to know right away.
Can't be checking.
Yeah, right. Well, in the beginning it was working. In the first
it says
episode,
working.
Working.
But even the working, it's like working and then it's like a second and then it's there.
Yeah.
It's not like...
That was amazing in 1968. That's not amazing anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is it's not always about the exact amount of time it takes.
Right.
It's about the user experience. And that just downright sucks.
Yeah, that's
just awful. So I'm hoping that Jony Ive, who's all about user experience, he's all about making the device and the hardware and the software work together.
Yeah, but he's not a technician, though. He's
a designer.
He's a designer.
So if he saw that, he would say, no, this is bad. This feels bad. It feels bad to use. So I'm hoping that the device they come up with is actually usable. Right. But his thing would be like not how that. He would have an opinion, of course, but he wouldn't develop that. He would develop it like, you know, here's a little white thing that feels like a little egg that goes into your pocket. You know what I mean? Why not?
That kind of thing.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So, is that it for today?
Maybe. I got nothing else.
You got a nothing else?
I have a nothing else.
I have a nothing to show you.
Yeah, there's some actually there is stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm going to carry it over to the next podcast because we don't have enough time right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.